I've unmuted myself.
I couldn't hear.
Kirk, can you hear me? Can you hear us?
Yes, understood.
Kirk's on our screen, so he's,
Can you sit, Kirk, can you chat everybody if you can hear us?
So the sign says closed session or closed session.
I can hear you guys loud and clear.
Okay,
good, thank you. And his,
I mean, I know we go right into closed session,
so I can control the
whatever. it
the
doesn't
volume
matter.
here as well. So
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
his volume seemed to be good, and apparently ours is good too.
Make him step.
Okay, so I've
you're good.
It just felt like I saw
Just
the
a moment.
sign, I was like, oh, I'm already late. And I walked in, I was like, oh, we have this.
All right,
That's cool.
is it that time?
it is that time.
Okay, it is 6:06 PM. Let's get this meeting started. All right, Ziggy. Here. Present. Corey,
Here.
present. Dr. Joyce,
Present.
and I am present. Chris is called in late. And so is Roxanne, so we'll note that. We'll note tardy, T for tardy. All right. Is there any comments or discussion about our agenda? Are you guys okay with it as posted?
Yeah, cool with me.
I move that we approve the agenda as posted.
I will second.
All in favor?
I
I'm an aye as well. The agenda is approved as posted. Is there any public comment on our closed session agenda?
And I would find out in either the chat or the Q&A.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see it, John.
Thank you. There you go, please.
Well done.
Got it.
There are none. There are no comments.
No.
Alrighty,
Thank you.
the time is 6:07. We are going to convene the closed session. There we go.
Okay, so then I,
Stop recording. We're good.
so no, I said, oh, you didn't give us thought steps.
Save it for agenda item.
Alrighty. Can you hear us? On there? Think so? It's 7:13. We are gonna reconvene to open session. Item 6.1, report on closed session. No actions were taken. Moving down to item 7, public communications. Items not on the agenda. Comments regarding items not on the agenda will be addressed under the public communications agenda topic. Total time for items not on the agenda will be limited to 15 minutes per subject. The trustees may ask questions for clarity, but by law cannot discuss or take actions on these matters until they have been appropriately placed on a future agenda. Items on the agenda. Public comments will be addressed during the board's consideration of each agenda item. For comments submitted in advance of the meeting, please identify the corresponding agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each agenda item to 20 minutes, unless the board president increases or decreases the time depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. Do we have any public comments on items not on the agenda?
Yes, we have two. The first one is from Eric Horton.
Come on down, Mr. Horton.
want me to stand or can I just sit here?
Your lectern.
Do I have to go to the lecture?
So that you're on the.
Oh, they can kind of see you over there.
But you
All
can say
right,
that's
all
all
right.
right.
That's all right.
I was gonna wear my hat, but okay.
Oh.
There's one over there if you want, there's a couple back there.
Oh, you know, that one, it's actually kind of my style too.
You know, that's what I thought of. When you said that, I thought about it.
Sorry.
First of all, thank you
Yes.
all for your service. And I know what you guys do is not easy, having been around enough board members and board meetings, and most of you know me, I've served 6 years at Lakeside with the foundation and other various factors, so I do appreciate what goes into what you're doing. Just want to extend that, thank you. The reason I'm here is to talk about or ask about community involvement, especially when it relates to elections and things that can benefit or enrich our community for the better. You know, Lakeside not just being a school, but this is also a central hub for our community. Fires happen, this is the emergency center, this is where, you know, Red Cross sets up. So this is a very central place, and so Lakeside's health is directly beneficial to the whole community for that reason. So recently, well, we just had an election yesterday. I know you can't answer things or give me any solutions, but show of hands, who knows what Senate or district Lakeside's in?
Hmm.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty important. So we just got redistricted. We used to share a district with San Jose, Morgan Hill, Saratoga. Okay, much closer, much more localized to us. We actually got redistricted into District 5. So now we are at the very southern tip of a district that includes Palo Alto, Los Altos, Mountain View, Cupertino, Sunnyvale, very wealthy, very influential cities. Our new district supervisor was just elected yesterday, is from Mountain View. She spent no time talking to the mountains, none. None of the candidates spent any time talking to the mountains at all. Now, if you've been here long enough, you realize when we had a county supervisor who lived in Los Gatos, we were ignored, and he lived in Los Gatos. We had to set up a petition that got 2,000 signatures CCing the rest of the board of supervisors till they got angry enough to send him up here. That time we had almost 200 people show up for our community center. Okay. So I arranged for 3, well, I invited all 5, but I spent several weeks, almost a month, negotiating with the 5 supervisor candidates to come up here and talk to us, to engage with our community, answer our questions, and engage with us so that they would be aware of us, at least. Okay. 3 of the, actually the top placers were confirmed to come up here. And after about a month of promoting it, we were going to have some pretty serious attendance up here. Unfortunately, I don't know why, because I don't know if any of you got my messages. I sent an email, sent some text messages to you guys. I never heard back from anyone here as to why. It wasn't turned down, but I was asked to pay $305 out of pocket to have the candidates for our district come up here and speak to the community. I don't have $305 to spend on that, guys. And the event was some reason classified as something that's raising funds or charging money or selling things or some sort of a commercial adventure, but it wasn't. It was literally to benefit our community as a whole, not just the school, but to also show that the school is a center of importance for the whole community. And for some reason it was kind of blocked, and I just want to throw it out there. I never heard back. I don't know why. I was sorely disappointed that we had to cancel this opportunity. Now, Margaret Abe Koga is the one who won. She's been very gracious and is open to coming up and talking to us and having a forum up here, a town hall with our community. I'd be glad to organize that. I would be glad to work as a liaison between the community and the county supervisor's office. Because I want everyone here to remember, I don't want to talk too much longer, but I've only got about a 3-hour presentation. But I want to address you all as the closest government representatives that we have. And I'm hoping that perspective actually kind of sinks in a little bit. We're unincorporated. We don't have a mayor. We don't have a town council. We don't have any governmental organization to submit any redress to whatsoever. It actually starts with you guys. You may think, oh, we're just school board members, but you are actually the ranking political members in our area, right? The ranking government officials here right now. Okay. And so from there, it goes to the county supervisor. There's no one in between. So if we want help at the state level, we want help any level past us, the county supervisor is the only friend we've got. Okay, so we had a chance, we lost that chance to talk to them before they were elected, to hold them to task before they were elected, which is a great opportunity to say, we asked you these questions, you gave us these answers, now that you're elected, we expect, okay? Now we're gonna be building this relationship on a different basis. So I just wanna know if I can arrange these things again, okay, it'll be televised, I will bring my camera set up, I've got a multi-camera broadcast set up, we'll broadcast it, whatever we have to do to make sure that this section of 95033 is recognized and heard from, I'll do it. But I'm not gonna do it and put the effort in if it's gonna be stonewalled again. I really do thank you all for your time very much. Like I said, I do appreciate the work that you guys do.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your comments.
Now, if you don't mind, I'm really hungry, I'm going for dinner. Bye.
Have a good evening,
Can
sir.
you bring
too.
some back?
Yeah.
Can you bring some back?
Yeah.
It's just a quick drive down.
Yeah, it's really close.
I know.
What's in your mug for?
Don't worry about it. Might turn
All
around
right,
and
we are recording this.
very diluted green tea for the record. Very, very diluted.
Gentlemen.
For the record.
Third time filled.
Thank y'all.
Going down for a next public comment on items not on the agenda.
Thank you, Carl Loeber.
Hello,
Good evening.
it's been so long since I've been about 4 years, you know, I went into my emails. To look, when did I first send an email to Sean about the parcel tax? It was March 2019. Okay, but I have some good news for you guys, carrying on from Eric. I heard a little comment, I was here, when was it, Monday? And whoever it was, I don't think it was one of you, but it was one of the committee members. You were there, but one of the committee members said, he didn't think that you guys had the authority to write your own parcel tax, basically, but I'm here to say that you can. You don't have to go by the standard stuff. And today, I mean, I've been sending you this baloney in the emails. I don't know if you looked at it, but this is just what I want to talk about today. This is, I'm going to explain it, but just so that you can kind of see. Okay, today we got the news from Alameda County. There was 3 parcel taxes that just passed today. They were all on square footage, not by parcel. There was another one that passed in Piedmont. It was traditional parcel. It was over $1,000. It was like $1,200. Okay, Piedmont is a very wealthy area, of course, you know. So we have the boilerplate of all this stuff. And you don't have to design anything. You can just plug the numbers in, change the names. I like Berkeley. The second page there is just kind of the court case. You don't really have to get into the court case stuff because Berkeley started this stuff in 2016. They've already been collecting a tax on square foot parcel tax for 8 years. This is their second one. Their first one was 37 cents per square foot of the house. And there was also a cost of living increase every year.
I have a question for clarity. When you say 37 cents per square foot of the house, are you referencing a parcel that you have in our district and is there a home on it?
No,
Thank you.
no. My thing about the parcel tax has always been about the vacant parcels. There's about 200 and most of them are over. If you look south from Las Cumbres, that's where it is. Now, we didn't get to hear the letter. Are we gonna get to hear the letter that John?
Yeah, that's the
Miller
last.
sent? Oh, last thing, okay. In John Miller's letter, he's my one buddy that I found that's my compatriot up here, talking about the vacant parcels. There's about 200 that are vacant parcels. That has been my thing. And John's letter talks about that, okay? But I want to talk about your bread and butter, which is the people that live up here and can vote. You know, you don't, and I know you care about all of us, but I can't vote, right? I'm trying to find a place up here, but I can't vote right now. Okay, and that's the same with almost 200 people up here that own property and pay the parcel tax. And a lot of these parcels, like 50 or more, are owned by open space district, state of California, county, you know, they're not real private people, okay? So the point to make here is that you do have the authority to do this, and I will, with no pay, nothing, I will put together a parcel tax, just like the one in Berkeley. We have to figure out the numbers. We have to go into maybe a real estate database. If you want, this is the fair, and I know that are some of you believe that the parcel tax really is not a good thing. Charge everybody the same, no matter what their house is, you know what I mean? So you can do it, but we have to get like an average square footage for Santa Clara and for Santa Cruz. And then we could figure out the numbers that you would have to plug in. Like 50 cents a square foot would be too much. The ones like Berkeley's was 52. Albany's is like 53. And I think Alameda's was 58 cents. It just passed today. Okay, so if we have the average square footage of a house, we can kind of adjust it and see so that you get enough money. Now, I've talked to some other people, I've got like labels to send out to people like me, right? But I don't want to start this big campaign, but I want to know pretty soon if I can work with you guys on this. I got other things to do in my life, you know what I mean? I mean, some of it is sort of fun and interesting, but you know, and you're spending a lot of money on these dang court things, you know, I don't want to, you know, some of it's interesting, like I say, but I'd rather just solve the issue and deal with it, you know? I would not want to go over $100 for a vacant parcel. I mean, when we can develop it, yeah, then we can pay big money, but right now it's just squirrels and blue jays, like I say, you know what I mean? And I guess I could have even, all the easy parcels have been developed. If you know about any that are being developed and you think that our price is going to go up on vacant parcels, fine, but I haven't seen it. But I know you can't answer me on this, but please try to work with me. I will start on it. The stuff is right there. It's already, we have all these parcel taxes like Berkeley that has been going on for 10 years. All we have to do is basically copy it. I know how to do all of that stuff. So do you, but I have the time to do it. So there's some interesting thing about the Berkeley thing. For instance, one is they only charge $25 per vacant lot. But the other thing is that not every 65-year-old can get an exemption. You have to be very low income, which is easy to figure out because HUD has these cost of living things that, like, for instance, it would go by in this county, it would go by the median income. And then a very low income would be 50% of that. So very low income might be $50,000 per household. But anyway, that person would have to qualify for an exemption. Now, I don't know the number of exemptions that you guys are dealing with. That might be an issue, but myself, I would be like Berkeley. I wouldn't give the exemption to the guy that's 65, but he's up there. I know that a lot of people, they don't even take the exemption. The guy with the 4,000 square foot house, you could get it, but a lot of them, and I went to about 200 people when I was passing my petition. I know how it is. Half of the people over 65 just pay the parcel tax. They say, yeah, I like it, you know, but not everybody. So there's some changes. I won't go through all any more details because I don't really have it, but it's doable. And so please contact me because there's never been, listen, I didn't even know what a parcel tax was until 2019. I didn't even look at my bill. I was working, I was making money. Then I realized I'm paying $1,300 a year to this school. I've never even been here. I've been going up and down this road for 20 years. I've never even stopped. Okay, I didn't know. And this,
How many parcels in our district do you own?
I only have 2. I'm trying to put it together, but my trustee is in Thailand, he won't answer me. So I'm gonna put it together, so I'll only have 1. But John and I are talking about build another one that we're trying to buy right now down in Deer Creek Road. He's gonna talk about Deer Creek Road later in this letter. But anyway, I got ahead of myself, but I didn't even know about a parcel tax. So. And this is like the other people that own the victim, we don't get any notice of the election. We don't know there's any election. Do you think we come down here and look on your bulletin board to say that you're talking about a parcel tax? No, we don't know that. We don't know what's going on. It's really messed up. You know, we can't vote, but we can organize. And there's never been an organized, as far as I know, there's never been an organized opposition to a parcel tax. There was one guy in Gilroy, who's the president of the Silicon Valley Taxpayers Association. And he did the one argument against in 2016, and it was defeated, right? That was the $810 one that they tried here. The next one was, you know, the one that we're on now, 647. Nobody put an argument against it. And it still only passed by about 15 votes. So you don't want me to be organizing against you this time. You know, I don't have a lot of money, but I can spend $500 to do mailings, and I can go door to door if I'm here. You know, if I'm not in Russia or somewhere. You know what I mean? Anyway, nice to talk to you guys. I do appreciate what you're doing here. I'm not against the school. I'm against too much spending that's unnecessary, and then that my Squirrels and Blue Jays can't afford to pay for it. Okay, I think we're all on the ballgame here. You on the same page. I mean, you can't go through this every, what, 5, 8 years? We got to get money, otherwise the school closes. It's got to be like more permanent. You know what I mean? Good night.
Thank you
Very much.
Thank you, Carl. Right, do we have another?
Yeah, Sean's gonna be the.
Yes, we have one submitted by John Miller.
And that's the same topic, yeah?
Yes, and you will find his letter and
Oh, if
exhibit.
it's the same topic, you have
4.5
4
minutes
minutes.
left. Mhm.
4 minutes.
We can only do 20 minutes on the same topic.
15.
15.
That's why I started the timer.
Thank you, team.
I had my timer, but I was using it per individual.
Ah,
It's per
it's a
topic.
topic.
It's per
But just like
subject.
Sean.
Read quickly, sir.
Very good time.
This has been submitted by John Miller, and you'll see both the letter and exhibit A. I will not get to exhibit A. Dear trustees, I propose several items for your consideration. I consider it irresponsible to hire a new principal and assistant until a new parcel tax is approved by the voters. I ask that you cancel current recruiting effort for these positions. I figure that hiring a full-time principal and a third full-time administrator staff person, in addition to the superintendent, will add between $250,000 to $300,000 to annual budget. It's not prudent to make such a large commitment until the sufficient current funding is assured. I request the board to call an election for William Bull's qualified initiative that would grant taxpayers like myself a possible exemption from the parcel tax for unimproved parcels. This year's November election is the first election in the Lakeside District since the Santa Clara Register of Voters certified this measure for the ballot. The 64 signers of the initiative petition and all the other voters in the district reserve the right to vote on this measure. The measure is one sentence long and reads, upon application, any property taxpayer over the age of 65 shall be granted an exemption from the Lakeside School District parcel tax if that parcel is unimproved. I request that the board begin a transfer of parcels served by Deer Creek Road from the Lakeside District to the San Lorenzo Valley School District. These parcels are 15 minutes closer to Boulder Creek Elementary than to Lakeside. In addition, the parcel taxes for K-12 public education in San Lorenzo Valley are $600 a year cheaper, $99 versus $696 for the Lakeside and Los Gatos Saratoga district taxes. I request the district's total cost for the Lakeside superintendent, including salary and benefits, as well as the associated cost of all required state and federal employment taxes, including Social Security.
I think that's just a run on.
Period. Yes, I understand that it's the neighborhood of $250,000 a year, but with the election campaign coming up, I want to have a precise figure. I also request to know how many parcels currently have exemptions from the parcel tax. John Miller. Exhibit 1 is the June 16, 2021 letter from the County of Santa Clara Register of Voters regarding the citizens initiative of the Lakeside Joint School District for the purpose of allowing a parcel tax exemption to all owners of unimproved parcel who are over 65 years of age, which he alluded to here, and the total combined signatories is 80, as he indicated, of which 64 were verified by the registered voters.
Just as a point of clarification, don't we already offer exemptions for property owners that are over 65?
Yes, we do, but not for, they have to be residents, not for unimproved or uninhabited.
That's a California thing, a state thing.
Thank you.
That's really what
Yeah,
argument is against,
okay,
not being able to qualify for the common exemption.
thank you.
Mhm.
Right,
1 minute and 21 seconds to spare.
all right,
You did great, boss.
okay. Any other?
Yep.
Comments?
That's it.
All right, moving down, Board of Trustees and Superintendent reports. Do we have any reports to give out?
What about items on the agenda?
Those are addressed during the agenda items.
Yeah, we're good.
Go for
Sorry, Ziggy.
Nothing
Good. Sean? Could you bless us with your report?
Before that, the parcel tax ad hoc committee
Oh,
report.
I'm sorry, Corin.
Um.
Coming back at me.
It's right.
I need to refill my teeth.
Go for it. So for the parcel tax committee, we've met 4 times since the last board meeting. We're still collecting feedback and comments from the community. We've received several mail receipts from our first mailer that was sent out to the community and several other that were also submitted electronically because we had that as well. So we've been reviewing the feedback. We've been talking about recently how we can reach out to other pockets within our community just to help get information out as well as kind of hear from people and what they're thinking, what they're saying. So that we can kind of all put all that all together when we come to the board with resolution. We still agree that without the parcel tax, our school is not financially viable. And we do hope that our community will continue to support it at the same level that they have for the last 8 years. We're not, asking for anything new with this parcel tax. We are just asking for the same level of support that we've had from our community. And so the one change that we are planning to make for now is instead of meeting weekly, we will move to monthly meetings. And
First Monday of the month.
first Monday of the month, yes, thank you. Which will continue to be a public meeting, so that we can continue to collect feedback as we go through the process.
I missed the last two.
Yeah.
Did our guest speaker Carl participate in the last couple of ad hoc meetings?
Yes, he has submitted versions of the different parcel taxes to the committee, and has commented several times.
Just wanna
So
make
we
sure
are,
He's at that forum.
he is,
Okay.
he is, we are continuing to hear his suggestions as well as talking with our legal counsel and to kind of formulate what's going to be the best for our district moving forward. Anything else to add, Sean?
The only thing I'm just wondering about is a possible comment reflecting the difference in the communities where parcel tax on square footage versus the reality of that same kind of parcel tax in ours. I will defer to you as to whether that comment needs.
I think one of the
kick it
things.
around.
One of the things that we have talked about as we reviewed this square footage parcel taxes is that the districts that are doing this tend to be very large commercial districts. And so they have a much different kind of base of support than in our rural communities. We also know that a lot of the parcels here will be very much more enhanced than they may appear on real estate listings. And so we also feel that that would be one of our barriers to really fairly taxing with this system as well. So,
Non-permitted additions and
correct.
things like that, yeah.
yeah, because we know that there is a lot of unpermitted buildings.
Yeah.
Then which would not be fairly taxed either. So it is something that we're continuing to talk about. At this point, obviously, nothing is off the table, so we will continue to work with Carl and anybody else who has feedback they would like us to review. But kind of figuring out what's going to work best for our district. Next.
And the committee actually dealt with the square footage issue almost 2 months ago
Yeah.
initially. And had that conversation, and I think it's important to understand that our districts are very different. The density of housing in those districts are very different than ours. And to create an income, a revenue that meets the needs for us would make it extremely inequitable, much far more so in that parcel
Yeah.
square footage analogy.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
I'm next. Okay, if I can get this right, so I'm gonna share the screen
Mhm.
because I have not opened, so.
Click on the one with the closed session screen.
So
That one.
this
Yeah.
one.
Mhm. And then just.
Oh,
click
I see.
on the tab. Yeah.
So the superintendent's report and a number of other reports are assisted by Miss Debbie Lee tonight. So in case you're wondering, I couldn't do it without her. Appreciate that very much. Thanks, Debbie. Okay. Is this the correct screen for everybody? By the way, okay, just making sure. Okay. I want to remind the board, we did spend, Nan and I spent the 3 days during the policy development workshop review. During the week of the holidays, we spent Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with the other 3 901 superintendents and their staffs. It will come as no surprise that Nan and I were outnumbered by each of the 4 districts who had multiple members, 4 and 5 sometimes at a time. We had just about 1,000 policies to review during those 3 days. And at the end of those 3 days, Nan and I had less than 50% of them reviewed and made corrections, decisions, changes, deletions, removals, etc. We have then committed to, since then, calendaring at least an hour a day in the afternoon from 3 to 4, which typically ends up 3 to 4:30. Doing that, we've spent an additional 3 days in that schedule, but have been unable to maintain it because of other responsibilities, timelines, etc. But at the end of that, we are currently over 50%, and we feel like the number of policies that we can review before we get them completed and then send them all to you, which we won't send them all to you at one time. We promise we'll send that 1,200 policies in fragments, probably a fifth at a time, which might have another significant importance to you when we are looking at those board policies. But it was a very positive workshop. We had a lot of opportunity the first day to spend time discussing those amongst the 4 901 superintendents and their staffs. So that was a really invaluable time. CSBA's representative was there those entire 3 days. And that was very helpful. One of the reasons and that it's taking us so long was during that time we were there, you might recall that there was the I think it's AT&T network down. And so our network access on the latter part of the second and the early part of the third day was extremely inhibited. So it really impeded that process. So once the internet, it's like everything else, once the internet was working smoothly, we were able to move much faster. But we anticipate we will not meet our goal of getting the first segment of policies to you at the April board meeting. We will have probably the policies done by April, but we'll then divide them up in sensical forms for you to look at and review. And then we expect over the next 6 months to have those pieces delivered, and then you can rotate through. We can get, by the end of our current calendar year, we'll have all of our policies updated currently. And as many of you are aware, some of our policies, none of our policies have been updated since 2012. Some of them is back as far as 1997. So it's, and I will report that even one of the 1997s, we didn't do anything but read it, review it, and update it. It didn't need any more review or change of it. That was nice to know that, okay, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Are they digitized, the ones from back then?
Yes, that's one of the services that CSBA did, so we could just pull them back.
That's beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. for
And
your
it's
work.
no surprise that the pandemic created a whole lot of either new policies or changes to those
Mhm.
policies. Which is what impedes us. Okay, we did open negotiations with LTA as we talked about last board meeting. We met. I believe it was last Thursday, and LTA opened with Articles 15 and 19. We mirrored those with them, and there were questions on LTA's side with respect to salaries, which is 19. Nan's been working with their CTA rep with respect to the budget. There were some very good questions with respect to the budget, and once Nan and CTA's rep Anna Costi have been able to get on the same page, then we can move forward with that. There may be potential financial issues with Articles 15, which is why we're not moving, but they LTA has presented those, and we're ready once we get on the same page with the budget with CTA to move forward with that. Hiring update, we have been able to identify 2 candidates for our I think it's 1.48 FTE instructional assistants. We ended up having to take them again from our immediate community, people who are well known and went through the process of the application, et cetera. We reduced one of our current substitute teachers who instead wanted to be a full-time instructional assistant. So Dara Beam has accepted that position, and then the part-time one that would basically fill in the rest of the Dara entries 2 days a week. Rose Hessian has taken the other part of that. She will be working 4 hours a day, 4 days a week to make up. So we're very, very happy to have them in our community and to be able to accept these positions. They're well known to our community, and they know very well the students and staff that they're working with. So it's been a really good match, and Miss Ashton will be able to finish her processing hopefully by the early next week at the latest. And so we'll get her moving forward. When we get that finalized, then it'll be in the April agenda. As you are aware, the 24-25 school calendar is on tonight's agenda, and I just want to take a moment in the superintendent's report that I very much appreciate the collaboration of the instructional staff. Primarily, the teachers worked collectively on the school calendar that was given to them to review and to make suggestions, et cetera. And they made some very positive, pertinent ones that I was very happy to agree with and put it immediately into the calendar that you have with you tonight. So I wanted to recognize that separate of that agenda item, just as part of the process here. School updates. Last Friday was the end of the second trimester. So we are now in the final trimester of the school year. We had a professional learning community session scheduled for today, but we rescheduled that for the 27th. We wanted to focus on progress monitoring. We weren't able to do that today. We had a teacher out, and some not all the progress monitoring was accomplished, so we moved that to the 27th. We'd hope to be able to, that's the reason for doing it today, was to support the teachers for their parent-teacher conferences, which is 2 weeks from now. So we'll get that progress monitoring done in time for that, but we were hoping to be able to collect that in the professional learning communities and teachers collaborate together. Next week, the 5th grade students will be out for the entire week at the Walden Science Camp. It's a very exciting opportunity for our students to not only be at the camp, to be spending time together in an overnight session for 4 nights, 5 days. It's a wonderful environment, and it's something that we appreciate with respect to the County Office of Education's offering that.
Questions?
Yes.
Are you guys intending to do the traditional hike in to science camp again?
Yes. Yes.
6:32.
I believe
Yes.
it's taking.
Yes.
And so I'll have coffee out for any weary travelers going by our house.
Yeah.
And I'm personally hoping that all of the students will meet the COVID qualifications so that I don't have to leave the trailhead doing testing at that time. But anyway, yes, it's a really good experience for all. It's a wonderful opportunity for kids. We're very happy to participate in that, and that's next week. The week of the 18th is our parent-teacher conferences. scheduled. And again, I'm very excited to announce that our third, fourth, and fifth graders will be participating in that as a student-led parent-teacher conference. And Ms. Majid and Ms. Sue has been working with her students to prepare them to be able to lead in that opportunity to talk about their progress, to talk about their assessments, their success, and their challenges, and to speak to that with the parent and teacher together. So we're really excited about seeing that. March 20th, we have the assembly celebrating the Lunar New Year with the reprise of the dragon dance. We'll have two of the gold and red dragons and some martial arts demonstrations and the big drums. And then on the 27th, we will have our trimester awards assembly for the second trimester. And our assemblies, as you are aware, are after lunch and before the end of the school day, so they're not impacting the instructional part of the day. And we anticipate that the trimester awards is scheduled right now for 12:45. And if it does and early, students will be dismissed from the community center, but they'll still be supervised for the parents. But we're going to make that the end of the day kind of thing in case parents want to come in and celebrate with their students. School site council update. The school site council will meet tomorrow night. They've been working on the current LCAP, getting the final report together and beginning the development of the new LCAP. They've also been working on the possible adoption of math curricula and the possible adoption of social studies curricula. Tomorrow night's agenda will focus, trying to finalize the focus on the adoptions, whether they will or will not adopt, and if they will adopt, what will they focus the adoptions on. We don't have to make final decisions tomorrow night, but we want to be able to turn their focus on developing the goals and measurements for the new LCAP. Largely, the current LCAP, they have seen that and had a chance to look at what a final product looks like and help them be able to create the new LCAP. At this point in time, I will take the LCAP with Nan and we'll put the budgetary pieces with the measurements, and we will use the current student, staff, and parent surveys as for those appropriate matrices where they are used as measurements, and then we will submit the final report both first to the school site council, and then to the board. But I'm asking the school site council to focus their attentions on finalizing whatever adoption issues we have, and then look at developing that LCAP, because we're only 3 months from getting it finalized, and I would say that there's a conservative at least 25% of that it's new and different from the previous one. So I would like to use their focus on that. So that's the school site council update, and Dr. Wernick is basically leading the charge on that with Brenda Kiefer is the president of the council, and then Dr. Wernick is taking the school side's support of that. The PBIS committee update, I do have that from the committee. They met after the February board meeting on the 14th, and they had a school-wide data check with reflection forms for the staff to looking at trending behaviors, starting from the school-wide down to the classroom level. They were working on making sure that there was common understanding and to produce reminders with respect to the PBIS behaviors and expectations of the 3 Bs. And setting standards for minimum expectations for for staff to provide feedback and raccoon rewards and acknowledgements, etc. Verbal praises and etc. and how and what they do and what and how it does to make students. Student store continues based upon students who have earned those raccoon rewards, and the student council has added a piece to the reward program with respect to a school marble jar to build the PBIS and those procedures. If students fill up the water jug with marbles, they can earn a school-wide pajama party and stuffed animal party. The self-assessment survey has been distributed, and I believe there's a copy of that. I may not have got it in the board packet, but if not, then I will put it in the board packet. There's a self-assessment survey that's been distributed to the staff with respect to their interactions with students and getting their feedback with respect to our overall PBIS program. as it's implemented currently. Once that data is completed, the surveys are all returned, completed and compiled data. The PBIS committee will be working with the Santa Clara County Office of Education Liaison to look at next steps and targets for improvement based upon that survey. They're looking at a possible professional development day solely on the PBIS, which would combine both certificated and classified staff with the County Office of Education's coach. They're also asking the district for 20-minute coaching sessions with respect on developing and implementing PBIS vocabulary and other practices within the PBIS classrooms. Their next meeting is April 3rd, where they will again have training with Stephanie, and I don't know her last name, is the county office liaison for that. They'll be developing that PD training with the county office representative and classroom incentives, and looking again at the SAS data review so they can present it to the schools school-wide as well as the board. I missed the 15-minute.
Oh, you're good. That's not public comment. You can talk as long as you want.
Don't encourage him.
Any questions?
No, not for me.
No.
We're good.
No.
Thank you, Dr.
That was
Joyce.
good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm gonna hit the bathroom, could I get the keys in?
Yeah. Nice helping here.
Sure.
Thank you.
Where is this to?
That's the community center.
Okay, moving down our agenda here. 9.1 other reports. Who's in the queue first? Student council, foundations, staff, or teachers? Who's ready?
I'm not sure.
We may not have student council. Miss Sue has been sick all week. She has been
Okay.
diagnosed with strep, etc. I'm not sure but she will be joining us.
Mhm.
Can I check your?
Yes. I've not heard, although I haven't checked my email in probably 4 or 5 hours. Whether Emmett will be joining us, although usually he might text me.
I didn't get a text message from Emmett.
Yeah. I'm not sure there was a staff update. Oh, Heather's raising her hand.
Okay.
Do we have Heather? Heather, what do you have for us, and we'll have it?
Hold on, I don't know how to give her speaking ability.
Aw.
Need to make her a panelist.
So I can go to full screen and she'll come on here.
You go to
Yeah.
participants, Dr. Joyce, on the bottom left, and click on that little arrow. And then, or no, sorry, click on the participant's head. It'll pop up on the list. And then where Heather is, click on
allow to
more
talk.
or allow to talk right there.
Heather, can
I
we hear
just
you
learned
now?
that today.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
We
Yes.
can.
Yes.
Okay, hello, good evening.
We
Good
can't see
evening.
you, but we can hear you.
Oh, well, I think that works out well. How's everybody doing?
Fantastic.
We're doing all right. How are you?
I'm great, thank you so much. All right, so I have our staff report. I'm gonna start with TKK. So TKK has been busy learning about writing letters, sending mail, and how the post office works. On Tuesday, kiddos took a trip to the post office and got a firsthand look at how mail is sorted and sent to all parts of the world. They worked hard writing letters, making postcards, and we actually sent them off that day. We look forward to seeing if we get any mail back at Lakeside. This is part of our PBL, which is Project-Based Learning Unit, where we are learning about designing and creating our very own post office in our dramatic play area of the classroom. Of course, we've also been busy reading, strengthening our phonemic awareness, increasing our number identification, playing math games with larger numbers, working on addition and number sentences, spelling with accuracy, and learning the purpose of storytelling. In social emotional learning, kiddos are learning how to show empathy and care towards their friends as we work on communicating through different scenarios we may have or encounter at school. We're also learning to be kind friends and solid human beings. Each moment is an opportunity for learning and growth. For first graders have just completed Unit 5 of Benchmark, which was focused on technology, making a difference in our lives. Now their class is learning how to Learn from mistakes by reading fables. They are continuing to identify key details and stories and compare and contrast story features in different stories. In Foundation, students completed a unit on glued sounds, ang, ing, ong, unk, ank, ink, onk, and unk. And they are currently learning consonant blends. In math, the students learned about place value in the ones and tens places, and then transitioned to comparing double-digit numbers. And in social studies, they've been comparing and contrasting life from past to present. Our second grade class has been making solid and consistent progress towards meeting their end of year goals. Their teacher is so proud, looking back to where they started at the beginning of the year and where they are now. This week in ELA, they finished their unit on inventions and inventors, which centered around the essential question of where do ideas for inventions come from, while focusing on identifying the author's purpose, main idea, and key details from their readings. To support their learning during this unit, they identified a problem in their community and created inventions to help solve that problem. Some inventions included glasses that blocked out your surroundings so you could focus on your task at hand, robots that helped water plants. Students are also taking the knowledge that they gained to research famous inventors and create research projects on inventors of their choice, which will be presenting to their classroom next week. In math, they're wrapping up their unit on money and time. They practiced identifying coins and bills and transferred this knowledge to developing their financial literacy by planning a birthday party with shopping trips. They've also been learning how to tell time to the nearest 5 minutes, which has been very exciting. In third and fourth grade, the third and fourth graders are working hard, completing their classwork on time and staying focused. They're doing their best to be respectful to each other and to the Lakeside staff. In ELA, third grade is reading and comparing folktales from around the world to analyze how characters solve problems. They're continuing to identify key details and events and using this information to summarize what they read. Fourth grade is reading and comparing selections about characters facing and solving obstacles. Students in both grades have been encouraged in small group discussions and in group work. In math, third graders started learning about the importance of place value in addition and subtraction, and they're using different strategies to solve addition and subtraction problems. The fourth graders started a new topic on fractions. They reviewed fraction vocabulary and equivalent fractions and are currently working on comparing fractions. In writing, students have been working on writing about their favorite historical character. In fourth and fifth grade, students are working on their current school-wide expectations of being responsible. They're working to keep track of their classwork and homework and write in their daily agendas. In ELA, fourth grade has started a new benchmark unit about themes. They are reading fictional stories where they continue to find key details as well as events that help them determine the central lessons in the story. Fifth grade has started an exciting ELA unit on conflicts in America. Their most recent reading was about the American Revolution. Students had a chance to analyze primary sources and determine key details. Both grades are learning about fractions. They've received fraction vocabulary such as numerator, denominator, and unit fraction. Fourth grade is understanding equivalent fractions, while fifth grade is working on adding and subtracting fractions. The fourth and fifth grade classes also finished up a writing piece about leaders in the world using mind designs for planning. Fifth grade also is very excited to go to science camp next week. In art, the school-wide dragon created for the Lunar New Year is finished and on display in the hallway outside of the office. The upper grades have been working on their sewing in preparation for the fifth grade quilt. They're also making exquisite corpse drawings to compare systems in plants and animals. Younger grades discuss the difference between 2D and 3D art this week and how artists represent 2D or 3D and only 2D art. In science, the younger grades have been focusing on living things in our science classes. The TKK first and second graders have all planted seeds and are continuing to predict, observe, and measure their growth. Those classes also had visits from the Valley Water Education Outreach Team. TK in kindergarten and first grade learned about water conservation at home, and the second graders learned about the life cycle of steelhead trout, which are native in our area. Tomorrow on 3-7, the 3-4 and the 4-5 classes will walk to the San Jose Water Company reservoirs across Black Road to do scientific field work and meet with people from the San Jose Water Company. The San Jose Water Company is maybe even more excited about this than the students and hope that we expand this to become an integral part of Lakeside Science Program. The older classes have been studying Earth's process, including erosion, evident on the field trip to natural bridges and avalanches. We will see this week if the structures they created outside survive these last storms. For PE, 4th and 5th grade students are doing fitness testing. They have been inside due to the weather recently, so they're playing lots of games and work best indoors. And since it's March Madness season, they're focusing on basketball skills for the month. In special ed, students in Wilson class continue to do amazing things with how much they are reading and learning. Progress reports will be sent home with report cards as always. Here's a brief summary for the board. The average scores targeted reading are hitting 100% in words 25 out of 25 and phrases 50 out of 50 with fluency rates of 2s and 3s, even for the most impacted of the students. This is translating to more independent reading in the gen ed classrooms and some very proud kiddos. The morning targeted class is making a shift from language arts to math since its most impacted students is doing so well in Wilson and the other student has shown that he can read at or above grade level. A shift has been made to work on the math fundamentals. The hope is that the growth we see in reading will now be future growth we will see in basic math facts. Push-ins will continue to be done for math and occasionally additional writing and reading concerns based on the needs of the students on her caseload and the requests of teachers. And that ends our staff report.
Thank you. I want to make one comment with respect to what Ms. Winfield just reminded me of. One of the advantages of having the new instructional assistants is in the afternoons during the enrichment program, we have 2 of those instructional assistants who will then be working in small groups with students with tier 2 and possibly tier 3 or IEP. So we're really excited about that again, being able to come in there and look at some really more intense and rigorous support.
It's great.
Thank you, Ms. Winfield.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Do we have an
LTA
LTA report?
It's very short. It's just LTA has begun negotiations with the district and has met this month for our regular meetings with admin.
Perfect. Those are our favorite reports, right?
We want to hear everything.
All the details. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
righty. Moving down our agenda to 9.2 budget to actuals through February.
Good evening.
Hi, Dana.
Debbie, I can't do the video
Oh, she's not a presenter.
because the host has stopped it.
Oh,
Okay.
hold on.
Hang on, I got it.
That's okay. Don't bother. Don't bother.
No,
not-
stop, man. Just relax, please. Give me a break. I'm still learning my stuff.
He wants to make this work.
Click on it.
Click on it. Thank you.
It should be the next one. It's probably under that little bar.
Yeah. Okay, and then go back through.
Slideshow.
Thank you.
No
And
problem.
this out of the way.
Probably want to go to the first one.
Thank you.
All right, man, we're with you.
All right. That's all right. Not a lot has been out of line. I mean, everything is pretty standard. I like boring financial reports, and this is pretty much like it is. So, any questions?
Nope, we like boring financial reports
Yes.
too.
Yes, we do.
All right. Well, there you go.
Chris.
And then you can look at the next as well. You know, there is a little difference from last year. I have a feeling from last year, it may have been because we had quite a bit of project money coming in, where this year and in the following years, we're not going to have that kind of project money, which is, we'll have to adjust to that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do have one question just on the prior graph. Sorry.
Sure. No, go ahead.
Purple line, expense to date is definitely trending a little above last year expense at this time. Do you expect that to
You know,
normalize?
I think that kind of started happening back in January where we had that, the differentiation, it just kept going up.
Yeah.
What we do try and do is, we try and get our bills paid pretty doggone quickly. And we do have a few vendors that are pretty doggone slow in
Mhm.
getting those in. The other thing that varies is payroll.
Mhm.
Depending on, sometimes we'll have a whole week off during one of these payrolls. And so that payroll will be less, and then you get one where you have everyone there for 4 weeks and it's a little more. So, it's hard to predict what's going to happen there. We're staying in our budget. So I'm not too worried. There are a few things that I'll show you when we get to a second interim that
Yeah.
we're going to have to be adding to budget that then we'll be changing things. So,
Yeah, okay. Let's
okay.
take that up then. Thank you very much, Nan.
Yeah, sure.
That's your tradition.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you, Nan. Moving down our agenda,
Thank you.
consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Consent agenda is approved. Okay, going to discussion items 11.1. The board will discuss and comment upon the 2023-2024 comprehensive district safety plan. Dr. Joyce, take it away, please.
Okay. The only comment, other than you have the draft in your file, was that I wanted to again remind the board that Rick Rowe and I attended a full day workshop with at least 7 or 8 of the local school districts with respect to school safety. And I was very pleased to learn at that school safety workshop was that it wasn't as much about hardening schools as it was about softening them. And in softening them, you are actually able to create more of a hardened, non-hardened. So through the Cornell, which is the University of Virginia, Comprehensive School Threat Assessment Guidelines, this was the basis for that schools safety workshop, and a lot of that material, which is aligned to PBIS and social emotional learning, etc., is embedded in this new draft of our school safety. One of the things that I want to draw your attention to is the student data at the beginning of it, which is listed there on an annual basis based upon the student survey from 3rd through 5th grade in those pie charts. Probably the bulk of that document, 80 to 90% of it, is pretty much standard boilerplate school safety shared by schools, not just in California, but across the country. But we added some of just, as I say, the information that we've gleaned from the Comprehensive School Threat Assessment Guidelines. The other piece that I want to draw your attention to is the appendices that will be shared with the board that are not public shared, which reflect the behind the scenes command and decisions for school safety. For instance, the most obvious would be the active shooter, run, hide, defend responses and those kinds of things with respect to how the command center and chains of commands and actions by the adults on campus. That's all part of the appendices, which are not published with this document for the public to preview or review. Those are privy to the board school administration. This is an annual requirement by the state of California that has to be submitted through our county Office of Education. They are essentially the account holders. They make sure that school districts are accountable for this. It does not currently, we are not required to have the board approve it. It has past practice has been that, but it is not for this one. And it may not be as we move forward indefinitely. So it's tonight given to you, open for comment, discussion, but it is not required for your approval tonight.
I have a question for you, Dr. Joyce. When you and Kirk attended this event, how has our progress in softening or hardening the schools so far? How does that look now that you've attended this? Are we doing the things we're supposed to be doing, or are there some changes you think or directional changes we need to do in regards to our facility and the upgrades?
Yes, there are. We still have a few along the lines of hardening adjustments and facility changes. We were able to complete the lock changes and door hardware and those kinds of things. What is the most problematic right now is changing practice. We are looking at putting like the combination locks on the community center on the back door here off of the office hallway that the portable buildings use for access, putting that on a keypad, because as it is now, that's unlocked throughout the day. Students come and go, and it's been difficult to have adults carry the key, and with kids going back and forth to the office, even students, which are typical, escorted from the portable buildings into the office. It's still student, and they don't carry a key. They're not given a key. So we're looking at that because that's an obvious area that is in need. We are still in the process of systematizing or making systemic the complete closure of the library doors out to the playground. We have to work with our after school people who are here using our facility after hours to make sure that those doors remain closed. So with our sharing of the school safety plan with the school staff last week, we were able to get that kind of feedback amongst staff members to say, it is a problem. We don't currently have a solution to that. It's difficult for school personnel, particularly teachers, instructional assistants, to monitor and hold after school people, for instance, accountable. Because even though school may be out, we largely have all the adults in the building at 3 o'clock, but those doors are wide open, and that's a problem. So there are some of those areas that we're continuing to look at. And I think the final solution is with respect to the work done for this summer, like for instance, the lock, the keypad on the door. We have installed the door alarms on all the doors in the main building. We're looking at doing the same for the portables. And what that means is that the alarms would, after say 3 minutes of being open, the alarm goes off, and it's a very loud, obnoxious alarm to note the adults need to close that door. So I know Mr. Rose working with Ms. Wingfield with respect to her practices on that, and that may again be something that we just have to run sort of a pilot project for 2 weeks and see how that works between what we need school safety wise and what works with Ms. Wingfield's class practices, et cetera. So yeah, I would say that conservatively, we're probably 85% of where we need to be with respect to the softening and hardening of the campus. And primarily, the final steps are hardening of the windows, putting up. We have, for lack of a better word, trellises in front of the windows in the classrooms. That would be metal trellises that would be 6 inches from the windows, so that The light still comes and goes, there's still vision from the classroom out into the parking lot or out into the building. But that trellis would be up and make it unable for someone to come through that window because it would cut off, say, a third of the window height. Come up a third to prevent someone from coming to that window. So those kinds of things are monetary and we're trying to finalize that process for this.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Yeah, it's good to hear that we've made it very far.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It was last year, it was a very big bite for Kirk and you,
Yeah.
the rest of the staff.
Mostly Kirk.
Well, I mean. All right, is there any other discussion on this? Moving down to 11.2, the board will discuss, comment upon, and consider motions regarding the academic calendar for the 24-25 school year. We've all looked at the calendar. Is there any public comment on this item?
Some public comment that I've heard, the most frequently mentioned thing has been addressed, and that's that the day after Halloween is a professional development day. I know that has not been the case the last couple of years, and I have heard lots of public comment about that.
Yes.
And so I'm really happy to see that that was something that was changed for this one. Some other questions, I think people just don't really understand what goes into like when we pick what weeks for like spring break or other things, because other districts will kind of time spring break with Easter, but we don't necessarily do that and things like that. So what do you go through when you're putting together the calendar, just for more general awareness?
Yeah, that's a good question. This particular calendar is a reflection of a conversation that the superintendents of Loma Prieta, Lakeside, Los Gatos Union, Los Gatos Saratoga High School, Saratoga School District had a year ago last January. Those districts were looking at 2- and 3-year calendars. Lakeside and Loma were looking at 1-year calendars. So those holidays were aligned with those districts, particularly for the Lakeside Loma to the Los Gatos Saratoga High School, so that our families who have students in elementary, middle school, say at CTE, and students at Los Gatos High School or Saratoga would have the common holidays. And so that's the alignment there. We did attempt to align some of our professional development days that happen after the start of the school year. That's very difficult. The reason that in the past we've had that September or early October PD was it aligned with Loma. A year ago when we had settled on that, Dr. Greer and I had some common conversation with respect to how we would develop professional development, sort of like a conference workshop with breakout sessions and staff could go back and forth between those two campuses. When we got close to those days, however, he had eliminated and pared off a lot of what he intended to do and focused primarily on the science of reading, which became his advocacy for the school year. We had moved into a different area with respect to the hiring of new teachers and focusing on science of reading was the basis of our literacy block, but we were looking at assessment and some other things, so we didn't share that day. And then, as you indicated, the professional development day that moved to November 1st was a common one, and I was glad to see that move. And I want to make a public comment with respect to that is the original draft submitted to the staff for their feedback and input doesn't look quite like this one. They made some very positive, and I very much appreciate it. Some very positive and pertinent changes with respect to the calendar. And one of the ones that speaks to me, and it may not be answering your question, Corey, I apologize, so you can redirect me, but is with respect to, I lost my cursor. With respect to the first conference week has moved a week later than normal. It's after and you'll note that it says the quarter. One of the things that I was really happy to hear the staff focus on, which probably a lot of the conversation came from assessments and how are we reporting that and parent conferences and sharing information with data and progress reports with parents. And so it impacted our parent-teacher conferences, it impacted our assessment schedule, and then it ended up changing from a trimester calendar to a quarter semester basis, which again was totally fomented from the instructional staff, particularly the teachers involved. And so I was really happy to have that feedback and made a lot of sense, and we put it into place, and that's what you're seeing here. So to highlight that though, with the change in the October calendar of parent-teacher conferences, it'll follow the beginning of the year assessments. So teachers will have more time to, those assessments should be completed in the first 2 weeks of school, have a chance to do the assessment data, looking at that and aligning it with individual students' needs and the curriculum, so that by the time we get to the 21st of October, teachers are prepared to in that goal setting week to actually have the data and student progress included in that, so that it makes a lot of sense for parents and it's very transparent. This is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, this is how we're going to accomplish those things. So again, I really appreciate that feedback and input from the staff on that. And it aligns with a quarter. So 25% of the school year, they'll get a report card at that time, parents will. And then moving the spring parent-teacher conference to January, this aligns with the assessment of the middle of the year will be done in December before winter break, where we had some teachers doing it before and some doing it after the break. So we're aligning and committing to doing all of the middle of the year in that December, so that when teachers come back in January, they'll have the data assessment data, compile it, and prepare to provide that to parents in, again, another parent-teacher conference. So that actually aligns with a semester halfway through the school year. So parents will have accurate, current information about their students' assessment, their student work, looking at both assessment data and work in progress with classwork, the alignment of the curriculum with that assessment. And again, that came from the teachers, and I really appreciate that. And then going into what normally would have been our second parent-teacher conference in the springtime, noted here that that's at the end of the third quarter on the 25th of March. And instead of parent-teacher conferences there, where parents will get a progress report in the October reporting, the parent-teacher conference, they'll get a report card at the semester in January, that parent-teacher conference. And then in this spring, at the end of the third quarter, families that have students who are what we call buds and sprouts, that would be not yet meeting standards, would be getting the progress reports and having an opportunity to see the growth. That will be, it will be like a single-page document that indicates assessment, how it relates to curriculum. It will be something that they will have seen at least one time previous at the first trimester and possibly the second trimester. But it will not be a full-blown report card that they're used to getting. It will be a proxy report, and we'll be focusing that on those students that are not yet meeting standards. And according to our current middle of the year assessment data, that would, if it were this year, that would be looking at about 25 to 30% of the students in the class. So teachers would be looking at that kind of workload there on those and that proxy report time. And then again, at the end of the year, which would be the second semester, there would be a report card. So report cards come in January and June, progress reports in October and March. And again, I very much appreciate that work with what the teachers are doing on that. But the holidays should align with the high school and with Loma Prieta.
Nice. No, that makes a lot of sense, and it's very helpful to hear that, what goes into it, because then we're able to speak to it better too. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I also just want to say thank you for clarifying that this isn't the first go around of the calendar.
Yeah.
And that the teachers and staff work together to make what we see here. It wasn't just a unilateral development of a calendar. It involved our teachers and our.
A lot of great collaboration, sounds like.
Yeah.
Even in the way they do conferences.
Yeah.
That's great.
And thank you. Yes, I appreciate that. And the work, again, thank you. They did do that. The 29th of August, I want to also note, we collaborated and coordinated our back to school night with Loma and the high school, again, so that the parents of elementary school students will be doing back to school night in August. And if parents have elementary and middle school or high school, the middle school will be the next one, early September, and then the high school right after that.
Oh,
So our
nice.
parents
So
will not
they
have to
can-
fight from
Yeah.
back to school if they've got students.
our
So we align
holiday-
that also on the 29th.
Our holidays align, but then the events where parents need to be here are offset between the schools, so they don't have
Nice.
to
That's
Yeah.
correct.
run up and down the
Yeah.
mountain.
Yeah.
That is slick. Thank
So,
you.
so as of this
Mhm.
point, it's aligned. Now,
Yeah,
we will be, I'm assuming next December, January, I'll be meeting with those superintendents again.
Yeah.
And
Either.
what our goal, my goal is to be able to flesh out a 2-year and get it out to you in 2 years so that we have less of this annual scramble.
Yeah.
But again, most of the other districts are going to a 2 or sometimes in one case a 3.
Hmm.
But currently, again, we have very good collaboration between districts and
yeah,
it works.
no, that's great. The only other specific comment I've heard is that the Thanksgiving break ends up being kind of long and right before the other breaks, and so. I've heard of requests to shorten that and move some of it to like a fall break too, but. It also makes sense if that's what
What-
everyone else is aligned with, but.
What would that look like? When you say moving it, I'm assuming the 25th.
I've heard it would be like, yeah, just off Wednesday to Friday or Thursday to
Oh, I see.
Friday, and then those other 2 or 3 days, moving them to another week so that it breaks it up
Earlier in
earlier
the
in
year.
the
I
early
see.
in the year or something
Yes.
like that. That would have been the only other public piece of feedback
Okay.
I'll pass along, but
I think the trend has been the other way. As in the high school now has just adopted a full week off for Thanksgiving.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So they're now aligning with what we're already doing, and that makes sense. Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense to align with.
Yeah, it's becoming
That they feed it.
more of the practice that week is,
I'm off work.
Right.
I don't necessarily.
Another week and another week, yeah,
Definitely.
no, that's good. Anyone else?
There's a mistake. Look
Oh,
at
no.
May. The 26th should be the 27th, and then it's that week goes through 27th through the 31st.
Ah.
Just, I want to make sure that you note that.
Oh, okay, so,
For May.
but May 26th is not a Monday?
No. No, but you should just have a 27. I made a mistake.
It should be
That
26.
26 should be 27, the 27 should be 28, the 28 should be 29, the 29 should be 30 and 31.
I don't think.
I
that's
think I
right.
think the change is here. I think this is the 27th.
No. It's the 27th, I'm pretty sure.
That means the whole month of May is off.
Which means April probably is too. I can't get to my calendar here.
Yeah.
Real quick.
I don't.
Don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause it
Six.
says April 7th would be a Sunday, so it looks like.
Yeah.
I don't know. April 7th is a Monday.
May 2025.
May 26th
Oh.
and May 25 is a Monday, is a
26th
Monday.
is a Monday.
Wait,
The-
March is off too.
Wait, what?
I think maybe the whole thing might be off.
It's because it's a leap year this year, guys.
Yeah, but and we'll correct those dates.
Oh, no, wait.
But I know
Looking
this
at
right
the
here
calendar.
says the 27th.
This looks correct to me.
I'm looking at,
This looks correct to me too.
yeah, I thought it was too.
So
The only
we-
change I see is right here. This says the 27th.
Oh, I see.
That should say the 26th.
I
Yeah.
agree.
don't think so. I think, well, that will, okay, we just
Dan,
need
are
to
you
correct.
looking at the 2024 calendar
Oh my gosh.
for May?
this-
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, never mind.
Thank you, Nan.
Thank you, Nan.
Sure.
Still a typo, but okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, there is a typo,
Okay,
and
so
and that will be
we're-
changed. This
that's it.
typo right here.
are there any other questions, comments?
Nope.
I move that we adopt this calendar with the adjustment for the 5/27 correction right there.
A second.
my,
I,
I
I'm an I as well. Our school
Okay.
calendar is adopted. Moving down to 11.3, the board will discuss, comment upon, and consider motions for the approval of resolution 23-24-03, authorized signatures resolution.
You
I don't think you need to see that.
That was, we did that in the last meeting to put Debbie onto it, and now we need to.
We did not have a resolution last month. You approved the signatory, but it wasn't in a resolution.
Oh,
Isn't that correct?
Yes.
yes,
Thank you.
because we want Debbie on there.
Yes.
Okay, is there any discussion on this item?
No,
Is there any public comment?
No.
I move that we approve the resolution 23/24-03.
I'll second.
aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. This resolution is approved. Moving down 11.4, the board will discuss, comment upon, and consider motions for the approval of. Whoa, my
Is it the
bad.
same?
It's a double.
The duplicate.
Oh, it's not my fault.
Oh, no,
Okay,
it is. No, it's
What?
different. Never mind.
It's different.
It's different.
it is?
It's different.
It
Yeah.
starts the same but ends differently.
It's
Aye.
resolution 23-24-04.
Yeah.
That's not fair. The board will discuss, comment upon, and consider motions for the approval of resolution 23/24-04, funding agreement with State Water Resource Control Board. I went through there. I have one question.
Okay.
Does this resolution in essence mean that the district and the agent of the district can continue the water project, right? And use our own internal funding to finish the water project, or are we still tied up with DSA and NV5 and everything?
We're still tied up with DSA and V5 and everything. This basically, if, and Nan, correct me if I'm wrong, this resolution pertains to the potable water that we're putting in twice a week.
So this is just for funding the water deliveries.
That's correct, because the current well failed.
Yeah.
So we've not corrected
Mm,
that, and because we're pushing forward to get the project finished. And Nan and Kirk have worked very closely. We believe we are now. We've met the requirements of NV5 and PUC, and Kirk's trying to get them re-engaged on the project itself. And that's with DSA,
Pigs will fly.
but that's a separate
That's a separate issue then.
This is the water district saying, we'll put potable water in your tanks and you can drink.
I was hoping they also had it, we could just finish that project without NV5.
No, that's a completely different.
Dang it. I don't have any more questions, thank you.
Yeah. I don't have any questions.
Is there any public comment?
No, I will move to approve resolution 23/24-04.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wait, who seconded?
Chris. This is approved. 11.4 is approved. Moving down, 11.5, the board will discuss, comment upon, and consider April 20th, 2024 for a Board of Trustees retreat. I'm good on that day.
Should be.
Alright, let's just do it.
Okay.
Yes,
Love it.
Perfect, thank you.
celebrate after.
Do we need to have a motion to do that? A formal motion?
No.
Okay.
Great.
We selected that day, thank you. Moving down, 11.6, approve the 24-27 MOU with Union School District to provide middle school options to Lakeside 6th through 8th grade students.
Largely through Nan's working with her connections at the Union School District, she was able to re-engage their district office in this. So we now have renewed the 3-year MOU with them, allowing a parent choice for Union for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. The options are basically parent choice. The district's not recommending one over the other, but they're available. There are some advantages that parents may choose to seek, and the district will continue to provide that opportunity for our parents through Dartmouth Middle School placement. So again, my failed attempts to go through the previous channels with the new superintendent and assistant superintendent. Wasn't able to get enough attention and Nan having worked down in that area, I was able to come in the back door. So I was really pleased with her
Awesome.
and appreciate her work.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. All right, is there any discussion or public comment?
I motion to approve the 24 through 27 memorandum of understanding with the Union School District to provide middle school options to Lakeside middle school students.
I'll second.
40 seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. 11.6 is approved. Moving down to 11.7, the board will discuss, comment upon, and consider motions regarding the approval of the 23-24 second interim report.
All right, Chris.
Okay, get ready.
Okay,
This is what we've been waiting for.
That's very good.
The legends arrive.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So, just-
Basically, if you go down to the bottom, there hasn't been a whole lot of change between first and second interim. The budget has remained not a lot of changes have happened, but there are a couple things that are on the horizon that will be changing our budget. One of the biggest is we're in negotiations right now with the certificated and also will classified, and hopefully we'll be able to solve those soon. And those will affect our budget. And we also have hired, as of the beginning of March, one FTE aide and a 0.46 part-time aide. So those positions are not in the budget, and those will have to be added to the budget. Attorney's fees are higher this year than what we have budgeted or what we anticipated. So we're going over that. That's going to have to be increased. Also, another thing that has happened is our part-time contracted principal resigned as of December. Now, Lori Warnick has been coming in and doing some subbing on that. So there's going to have to be a little bit of an adjustment there. But there will be higher costs coming. They're just coming in now this month or next month. So just letting you know. But other than that, if you go down the page. There you go. Okay, you can see where we stand. And we have, for the second interim, we have our unrestricted ending balance is 614,000. And then you can see, as in green, go across to the green, then you can see what the projected ending balance is. And just remembering that in 2025-26, the parcel tax will be gone. And as a result, we will be losing considerable revenue then. And again, remember, if we give a raise, raises will have to be included in all of these years. It's not just 1 year. You have to bring it over, those expenditures, into each one of the years.
Right
Any
now,
questions?
that raise would be in here and then carried forward in here and here.
Right. So the proposed raises are not yet factored in. This is
Right.
the budget, but
Right.
we'll update this week.
That's right. Not in the budget. And remember, also those 2 aide positions I don't have in the budget as well, nor the increase in the attorney's fees. Any questions?
And those attorney's fees are only in the general ed budget, not the special education budget.
I don't have any questions.
That's correct.
From me? No questions from me.
Do we have any public comment? I move that we approve the 23-24 second interim report.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
An aye as well. 11.7 is approved. Thank you, Nan.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Moving down 11.8, the board will discuss, comment on, and consider motions to transition future board meetings to be live streamed.
Again, this is on a request. It's back on the agenda to ask for discussion, comments, etc. With a change in the instructional technology director, and you can recognize the management here back and forth. I am an old dog. I can learn new tricks, but that's part of what we're dealing with here. So the live streaming would reduce some of those costs and some of the, but again, it's with respect to what the board is looking at as far as interactions from the community and costs, which probably on a day like today, we're now at 8:46, so we're looking at 3.5, 4 hours of employee time with respect to the additional person here.
The consideration would be if we move to something that's live streamed, we wouldn't necessarily hear anything from them, but we would continue to broadcast out everything that we are doing so that community members and everything can continue to be engaged and listen. They just would not be able to participate or comment through Zoom or
through the
Zoom
meetings.
window.
They could,
They
you know,
could
they can
view.
send, they can send things and it can be read in the record, but they can come in.
Yeah.
In
They could
person.
come in person, they could still, I mean, send someone in their place that could come in person. But it just wouldn't have the same kind of back and forth interaction that we currently have.
And the question I have, the savings is in personnel time that's required to set up this.
Yeah.
And manage the back.
And manage the back and forth.
Facilitate the bi-directional nature of it. One of the, we had this on the agenda before, and I feel like it was a good thing that we tabled it for a while because we've had a few meetings in between.
Mhm.
And I've noticed that we haven't had any input coming in this way, whereas we've had a handful of public comments, whether the agendas are not being submitted in writing or showing up in person.
Yep.
And so I still think there's value to having our meetings recorded and live streamed out. You know, for transparency and to hold us all accountable, but I want to optimize our district funds.
I think the other point that was brought up last time too is that almost every other district board meeting has moved to live stream or gotten rid of virtual options altogether. Is that correct?
Mhm.
So we are one of the very
Yeah.
few that has held on to an interactive Zoom format since restrictions have kind of lifted. So
There is a question, although I think you answered it, just
Oh,
for
yeah.
due
Okay.
diligence, would participants in live stream be able to comment?
So the answer there would be then no,
No.
participants would not be able to comment directly online. They'd have to either send someone here that could relay their comment or come in person or submit in writing
Yeah.
prior to the board meeting.
That's it.
Is there any other discussion or comments?
No, I agree with those points. Yeah, we have seen not a lot of turnout on the Zoom aspect of this, so I mean, I agree.
I think, yeah, obviously we want to make sure everyone has a way to communicate with us, and we want to be transparent in the decisions and include our community in these discussions. And
Yeah.
so I know that I do acknowledge that this will be a loss in our ability to communicate with families that can't be here. And so I do want to acknowledge that this change is not nothing. But given that the cost to maintain it and staff it and kind of continue that interaction, and given that just about every other district has also moved to live stream, and as long as we continue to make sure our community knows that we do continue to want their feedback, we want them to come here, that's the best way. So that we can interact with them, but also that they can submit their comments, their questions to the board beforehand to be read into the meeting, or send someone to the proxy for them. I think we want to continue to encourage that too, because we do know that this is, at the end of the day, not everyone has childcare, and so we want to be respectful of that too. But I think from a budget perspective and just kind of standard across our school boards, it would make sense at this point to do that too.
Well said, well said.
One more comment.
Mhm.
Keeping lines of communication open is something the schools should strive to increase, not decrease.
Could I ask who's commenting that?
Ms. Gila Prop.
Thank you.
And I do want to acknowledge that that is true, and we do want as much interaction as possible, but we do also want to acknowledge that this does have a very real and tangible cost to our district, which comes out of money that we can use to help in other ways too. And so it is a tough one, because we want to be as transparent as open as we can in these discussions.
Yeah, and another thing too is it'll be a little bit of a change if we do decide to go in this direction, a change for the staff too. Like tonight, we had our staff reports virtually. Regardless, there are staff that are doing the work and we have to compensate them for it, but it would be a change in place of where they're doing that work.
Yeah.
The last handful of staff and teacher reports were in person, and it's always awesome. I feel like as a board, we get a much better connection with the people who are educating our children when they come and present those things to us. And it's not a faceless, through Zoom. It's more personal. So. Is there any more discussion?
Nope, not for me.
I move that we transition our board meetings to a live stream only format.
I guess the last question that I have is, when
You said
do we want to do that? If we're going to do that, do we say with the next board meeting, or do we give a grace period of another board meeting and move it in?
we have the ability to change the cadence of our board meetings at any time. So,
Point of order, you have a motion
Yeah.
on the floor.
and Corey derailed me.
You can still ask questions after the.
Okay.
Or you cannot second it and it dies for lack of a second, and then
I see,
it's just point of order.
Yeah.
got it.
So if there's a lack of a second,
No second from me.
yes,
No second from me.
okay, now the motion has died. Now-
Okay.
Motion is
Now
dying.
you're gonna remake.
I mean,
another
honestly,
motion?
I want to at least addend it so that we actually have an action time of when this is starting.
Okay.
If it's starting with the next meeting or if it's starting at another time in the future, I just wanted,
Okay.
that's it.
Oh.
I agree that we
Okay,
probably
so
should transition to
How
live
about
stream.
next meeting, we start live streaming.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Live
And
streaming.
We can get feedback on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, so if someone needs to zoom in, then we'll do that. And someone will tell you, and you'll put the address of where we are, so we can
Board
zoom in.
members, yes,
Yeah.
Okay,
that
sure.
continues.
That
That
doesn't
continues,
change,
that's
it's
right.
just that we're going to
Yes.
live stream
Live
only
stream.
from here. Okay, cool.
All right, I'm gonna try to take a stab
Go
at the
for it.
motion again.
Can I,
Oh, wait,
Before you do
okay.
that,
Yeah,
can I
yeah.
just ask this question, cause I think that'll come up. If we have a community member that wishes to Zoom it, can they Zoom from the audience and take that? So it's not you doing, we can live stream whatever. What does that look like for the public if someone was willing to do that
It's interesting.
on their own?
As a public meeting,
Mhm.
they would have the ability to do that as long as it doesn't interfere with the actions of the board.
Got it, okay.
And also too, if so, say someone is zooming it over there and their fan base has a question. They're able to
relate.
comment on those agenda items at the appropriate time.
They would be able to, as Corey talked about, property.
Yeah.
Through a proxy.
The one,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
one thing I would have to
So
check
you-
with council on
Oh,
is if they were to record their Zoom.
Hmm.
Whether they'd have to disclose that. My presumption is they'd have to disclose that even though these meetings are Zoom, or I'm sorry, the live streams are recorded. And individuals. My presumption is would not be able to record that without permission. So we can check with council if that becomes an issue, but that's the only question I would have to your question.
I have a question. What would be the point of somebody else zooming it when we still can't answer their questions unless they're in person?
We could answer the
could answer the
proxies
proxies
question.
questions.
So if,
Yeah,
If
if they relay a
someone's
question
getting
through
there.
a proxy, then we could answer them.
yeah, it's just they're asking that question as their own.
Tim's sitting on
Why
the,
would they zoom it? They could just text that person.
I guess they could, yeah.
They sure could.
Tim, how would this work?
I don't know, I would assume.
He comes in person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, yes.
I'm
But
happy
yes,
to be
right.
here always,
Sure.
and I'm happy to take requests for comment.
All right, there we go.
People.
Thank you.
Sounds good. But yes, absolutely, they could text or anything like that too. So,
All right,
all right, go, Robert,
I
go.
move that we transition our future board meeting, as in the next board meeting, to a virtual live stream only. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Our next board meeting and future meetings will be live streamed. Thank you. All right. Oh. There's a back page. Items for, do we have anything for future agendas?
Not for me, not right now.
Dr. Joyce,
No.
Debbie? Okay, it
Tim?
is 8:57. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you. everybody.
Late.
thank you.